Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and today what we're going to be doing is fitting an aftermarket water block onto this GTX 590. This is I just thought I'd make a video because I've got to do it anyway, and you will be seeing the water blocked up GTX 590 in a future video. I'm not going to say too much now because otherwise everyone starts yapping on in the comments and it's just better off left. But basically what we're going to be doing is taking this Zotac GTX590 that you saw me use in a previous review, and then we're going to be fitting this XSPC GTX590 water block. Now this is a very, very sexy and a very well engineered water block. It's one of the few water blocks I've seen recently where they've actually got these brass standoffs actually fitted to the water block. Normally you have to do this stupid thing where you balance little spaces, and they're so annoying. I've got to admit, 9 times out of 10 I don't bother with them, or I try and do the ones at the end of the card so that like the card doesn't get warped too much, and then I just don't bother. So the fact that there's actually got these on the water block already is absolutely lovely. Now you can see the reflection on that, and I can see it as well because it's reflecting all that light up onto the brolly behind my camera where the light is. Now, so you've obviously got an all copper base to the block, and then the top is a brushed stainless steel. I'll show you the brush. Now you can see the cutouts here where the caps pop through, and something also that's quite new. I'm going to try and get this on the camera. I'm not sure whether it'll pick it up, but it's got these bits bolted through, and if you have a look just there, you can see that's actually the hole where the fluid goes into the block, because these bits are pushed through both sides. Now obviously I don't deal with water cooling stuff every day like I used to, but this is definitely the first block that I've seen recently with this type of fitting on. But anyway, good chunky block. I'll show you what's in the pack. It's obviously from XSPC, so we kind of expect the quality to be pretty high. A lot of fibre washers and standoffs and blanks. This is basically part of the fittings. The standoffs are depending on what side you're poking the your barb through, and then obviously the fibre washers will be for the screws on the back of the card. Also got another packet of screws. Got some generic thermal paste. Where this is white, this looks like it's ceramic. And then we've also got a large packet of thermal pads. This is, I've got to admit, looking like it's already pre-cut to shape, but I'm not going to say too much because I honestly haven't had a look at this at all. I'm going to be doing this pretty much live in front of you. It does come with an instruction manual. And it does look, by looking at that instruction manual, it does look like the pads are pre-cut. But like I said, until I actually get down and dirty with it, I'm not going to say too much, and we'll have to watch it throughout the video. But what I'm going to do is show you how to take the card apart, and then I'm also going to show you how to fit the block. There is going to be no temperature testing today. This is just us getting the card in bits, and then also putting the block on. So we've got all the parts there for the water block. We've got a card ready to go. Tools. Generally, like I said, I'm doing this pretty much live in front of you, but stuff that I would have to hand straight away from the bat is the 590 has Torx fittings. And you are going to need, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to look now, so I can't remember which one it is. Yeah, it's a T6 Torx bit. It looks just like that as a star fitting. Obviously the camera's going to have big trouble because it's quite small. But yeah, T6 Torx bit. Nestles in there, all lovely. That's what you're going to need for the to get the main part of the graphics apart. It's also quite good to have a set of micro screwdrivers handy. just so that you've got them really. I would not be without these. I've got these. I've also got another little flathead screwdriver to hand, which I always keep laying around. I've got a selection of tools really. You'll also need a small Phillips screwdriver. Although there is one in here, it's also good to have a slightly bigger one so you can get a bit more leverage on if you need it. Something else which can be also quite handy is this may look like a massive... There's a lot of shadows going on in the video today, but anyway. This may look like a massive Phillips screwdriver, but it's magnetic. I would not be without that. It's my magic magnetic screwdriver. Obviously you're going to need some thermal paste for fitting the block. I know it does come with it, but I always like to use a good quality paste. At the moment I'm using Noctua NHT1, mainly because Noctua sent me a box of about 40 tubes of this stuff. You're going to need some tim cleaner to clean off the tim from the old block, and I always do that with just plain and simple kitchen roll. And I've always got loads of this kicking about because obviously I'm cleaning a lot of thermal paste off throughout the week. So that's your kind of basics. I may kind of chime in at some point and say that you need something else, but we will have to wait and see. Now, what I'm going to do, I am still here. You can see this is a quality TTL video. I'm just going to stick a bit of paper down on the desk just while I'm doing this. Now, if you flip the graphics card over, the screws are all pretty obvious on the back. All I can say, guys, is just take them all out. Make sure you put them somewhere safe. Also keep an eye to see if they are different sizes. It's just, like I said, just whiz them all out and then see how you get going. So I'm going to stop the video now, take these all out, and I'll post you when I get back. Right then, guys and girlies, you can see I've taken all the screws out from all across here now, all across the back of the card. I've also taken 2 screws out here and here. If I put this back down on the desk quickly, when you take the back plates off, you can see that there's a ram on the back with thermal pads. Make sure you take all the thermal pads back off as carefully as you can. I mean, they can break, but you can, it doesn't really matter, you can get them back on, and just place them back on the backs of the cards. You can squidge it all about later, it's not too much of a problem as long as you save the thermal pads. So do that. They can be a bit tight, just give them a bit of a prise. Once they've popped, they pop. That one will come off together, so that's okay. Now, with the main card, there's one more screw that you need to remove. And that's just up here. It's the final screw. Now, once you've got all of the screws out, what I would suggest that you do is just go back around, just make sure that you have got everything, because one thing that you don't really want to be doing is trying to pull everything off when you've not actually taken everything off. But right then, guys, so once it's all off, it's pretty much then a job of getting the card away from the heat sinks. Yes, I have just got an email. Essentially, what I normally do, because obviously you've got the thermal paste in there, which is going to act like a glue or a cement, especially when the cards are hot and it gets baked on, it can get really tough. By just pulling here, you can end up warping the card. So what I would try and do is just shuffle from either side the card as much as you can, because it will help break that seal. Now you can see, if I come up close, you can see now that I've got a bit of movement there, and it does help to break the seal. And then kind of work your way down, jiggle from side to side, and lift very gently as you go down. And as you can see, mine has already gone. Now I've got a, I'll show you that it's all open. I've got a power cable there that I need to remove. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove that power cable, and then I'm also going to clean the thermal paste off, and then refit the thermal pads to the RAM pads on the back of the card, as we did with the back plates, and then clean all the thermal paste off so that we're ready for some nerd porn, so that we can see a naked GTX 590. Right then guys, you can see I've taken all the thermal paste off, and I've tried to refit the pads back to the card, the original heatsink, as best as I possibly can do. What I would suggest is when you refit this, try and kind of like push them down a bit, maybe put a bit of thermal paste on them just so you know everything's going to be okay. The only reason why I have fitted it back to the card is obviously you never know when you might need to refit the heatsink. So go careful when removing everything, because the last thing you want to do is be needing to test your card, something may have happened, and then you not having the pads for your heatsink. Another good cheat that I can say, if you want to keep your card clean, obviously clean the thermal paste off. I'm not going to be keeping this for very long off, but clean all the thermal paste off, and then to keep all the pads in the right place, if you put some cling film over the top and pat it all down so it keeps it all in, it will keep all the pads in the right place. Obviously, yeah, when you pull it off it may lift off again, but at least it'll all be there and it's not going to get lost in a box or something. It's just a good cheap way of keeping it all in the same place. But if you have a look here, you can have a look at some nerd porn at GTX 590, which as of yet I've not cracked the lid on one. But that's our GTX 590 with the lid off. Now it's time to start preparing for the water block. Right then guys, as you can see in the instruction manual, it said, you can see where it's got about laying the tin pads out. What I've done is they are pre-cut, which is amazing. There's one that needs a bit of a trim, it's a bit thick. But generally with these thermal pads in a lot of kits, you just get them as a massive sheet and you have to keep cutting all the different bits down. So actually having them pre-cut is brilliant. Now I've just laid these here. I've not actually fitted them or anything yet. One thing you need to remember is there's a plastic tape or a plastic sealer on both sides. So remember to take both sides off. But the good thing about laying it all out is you can make sure you've got everything in the right place. You can keep double checking. You're not going to have to keep peeling off and putting stuff back on again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the plastic protector off of both sides, get these fitted up, and then I'm going to put some thermal paste on the GPUs, both the GPUs and the chipset in the middle, don't forget that, and then we'll lay the water block on and get it turned over so that we can start putting the screws in the back. But it's time for me now, like I said, to spend ages pulling all these plastic bits off and getting the thermal pads actually fitted. Right then guys, I've got the water block on and I've flipped it over. What I would suggest that you do at this stage, because of the PCI bracket at the end, is just put it just over your desk a little bit so that it's not resting, and basically all the water block is able to touch the card. Now with the XSPC kit, you've got two different types of screws. One are 6mm long, one are 8mm long. The 8mm long ones go on the back plates. The 6mm long ones are the ones that go in the middle. So what I'm going to do now is fit the back plates with the screws and the fibre washers and the screws in the middle, and then so that you're not sat there watching me putting screws in, we'll come back in a minute. Right then guys, we are all done. I've got all of the washers on, as you can see. That one isn't meant to be there, neither are those two, before anyone says anything. So that's all fitted. We spin it round, we can see the card is completely covered. I really like the way that the capacitors come through the block and you can actually see them from the other side. I actually quite really like the look of that. But there you go. That is a ready to be water cooled Zotac GTX590 with an XSPC full cover water block. All I can say is you are going to be seeing this in a video very soon. If you have a look around the edges, you could kind of like tidy up the thermal pads and stuff, but I've literally just used it as it come out of the packet, apart from trimming it down a bit. If I'd gone backwards and forwards and trimmed, I could have made it all super tidy. If I was going to be using this for a build or something like that, I would have done. But then again, I would have been doing other things to the water block as well, like painting bits, because I'm just completely lunatic like that. But there we go. That's what this whole video was for, was to see it at the end. Now the other video will be where you will see the temperatures and stuff like that. This is just the fitting video. But there you go. That's it for this one, guys. This is Tiny Tom Logan with another hopefully helpful video for you. Out.